If consciousness creates reality, then how can bad things or negative news come into our awareness if we didn't consciously generate it or even look at them before? This is a profound question that touches the very edge of what we call the quantum theory, spiritual metaphysics, and the true nature of consciousness. To understand how bad things can appear, especially in our awareness or when we believe consciousness creates reality, we have to unpack this in a new layers. Consciousness doesn't mean it's a personal control. When people say consciousness generates reality, they often misunderstand it, as our personal thoughts generate everything we see. But this isn't entirely accurate because we are all fractal of consciousness, a perceiving node that we call it. Within what? Within the collective field. You are not the only source creating reality. You're part of a larger collective consciousness, which also generates, reflect, and even sustain aspects of what we call the world. So even if you don't personally look at bad news or bad things, but others are, the collective attention, the belief, systems, trauma, fear, and even desire for control, it all feed into the energetic manifestation of war, disease, catastrophe, chaos, and drama. The observer effect is not about breathing, but collapsing possibilities, especially in quantum physics. The observer effect shows that observing something collapses a wave of possibilities into what? Into a single outcome. But that doesn't mean your attention created the event. It just means that your perception just locked in your experience. So when you become aware of bad news, you didn't necessarily create it, but you did collapse into your field of awareness. And that is different from originating it. You tune into frequencies and not invent them. You have to think the reality like a radio with all kinds of stations: love, joy, sadness, betrayal, disease, war, chaos. These are always broadcast. Where you place your attention always determine of what you hear. But you didn't invent the station. You're just tuning into it. If your attention lands on a frequency of pain, of chaos, then that's not your fault. It only means that you are momentarily tuned that vibration consciously and unconsciously. Bad news is part of the learning matrix. In the spiritual view, we incarnate into a realm of duality, especially light and shadow. This doesn't mean that the bad is good or should be ignored. It only means that we learn by contrast. Awareness of suffering can either be an invitation or drown in fear, or expand into a greater compassion, alignment, and light. So bad news appears not because you created it personally, but because this is a collective learning environment. You're being given the chance to choose how to relate to it. Your role is to transmute and not control. When you are faced with dark realities, your job isn't to feel guilty for attracting them. It's to transmute them through your awareness. That means noticing without spiraling, just holding clarity in chaos, just being the light in the dark, not denying the dark exists. And this is where power truly begins and truly lives. Assalamu alaikum.